Hey, folks, it's Dave back here in Studio B. And let me change this background here. That's not a very good background. How about that one there? Yeah, a little digital to dice behind me here. Probably be a little bit better. But anyway, tonight I wanted to jump on. I was going to play something tonight, but I said, something. I was out doing leaves all day. I was just tired, and a friend come over with his dog, and we were playing, with the dogs for a while. And I was like, I'm kind of beat to really focus on something. So I finished up a little project here tonight. Hockey Blast Express. I finished up the 72 Summit Series, and I just posted that on Facebook. Want to make sure that my sound was okay. And so I wanted to talk about express games and quick play games. Somebody posted a question. Oh man, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was or where. I know it was on Facebook somewhere, but I'm in so many groups on Facebook and Delphi forums and things like that. Um, and the question was, what's the benefit of playing an express or a quick play game? As Marco comes by, hi Marco, and I was actually just asking Marco a question tonight about an express game. And so I thought and we've talked about this on the show, and I know we've talked about it here in the chats, but I thought I'd just dedicate something tonight to talk about express games because that's what I've been playing lately, and it gives me a chance to show off my new Kansas City visor. By the way, you know, as Michael and Keith stopped by. Thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoyed the hockey chat last night. If you're hockey fans, Randy was fantastic. We had Randy on to talk hockey in her new book. I bought her new book and I bought her old book, and I'm really looking forward to reading about goaltenders from the stuff that she wrote. In fact, I bought an extra one to give my uncle for Christmas. So I want to thank her for coming on. But anyway, as Barbara comes by, Barbara must be happy. Her Rangers got another win tonight. So congratulations to the New York Rangers. I was just watching a football game here, and it looks like Dallas is kicking the crap out of the Eagles. you know, and yeah, it was a great show. And Ron Aleo comes in. We're going to talk about the Express games at Z-Ring from 2002 to 2007. That'd be fun to talk about. Yeah, Express games. Let's talk about the roller hockey. No, tonight we're going to talk about Express games. Again, I just finished up the 8-game series in Hockey Blast Express with the homemade teams from the Russian team and the Canadian team, Canada team. However, I can say that correctly. And I think it was a homebrew set, so it wasn't an official set. In fact, I don't know how many places have an official set of that because I have those teams in many different games. I think somebody made it in shootout hockey, and somebody made it in Stone Cold, and I don't think they're official ones. And the reason why people don't want to touch that series is because there's not enough games. There's only 8 games, so how do you rate people in 8 games? You really want a whole season to rate people. Anyway, I wanted to talk about express games because that question was asked on Facebook, and it was like, "What's the benefit of an express game?" And there was a lot of varying opinions on that, and we're going to get into that tonight. And Marco says Randy was awesome. Yes, she was. Um, and um, and Barbara said she tuned in last night. Oh, cool! So a lot of people tuned in. Thanks for tuning in last night, by the way. So let's get into it. Express games. What are they good for? What are they good for? I like variety, as you know, and I like options. And so for me, more games, more ways to play is better for me. So when I responded to this person on Facebook, the trade off, okay, the trade off really was um, time versus data and details, I guess is the best way to call it. So if you want to, because everyone's always like, well, what do you get for stats in this? What do you get for stats in that? And I guess that's the big question. When a new game comes out, the first thing is how accurate is it? And we did a whole show on accuracy and what it means, and I know that's just kind of the standard question for a new game. And I think what people are looking for when they ask how accurate is it is this game worth playing? How close am I going to get to actual stats? Because there's so many games out there now. Someone comes out with the new games, like, where does this fit? And is this going to be worth playing, or am I going to get some really bad scores? So that's how I take it. When someone says, how accurate is it? Am I going to get something worth playing, or is this going to be totally ridiculous? And the same thing with the express games. It's like, what do you get for details in an express game? There's not many express games out there that you're going to get full stats because you can't, because you're not playing the whole game. You're playing a condensed version of the game, and you're going to get some highlights, you're going to get some stats, but you can't get the full game's worth of stats. Now, most of the games I play are either hockey or football. Okay, so I haven't played any basketball games yet that are express, except for the final score games. And I should say, Marco's game, the regular season basketball, that's kind of an express game, and you do get full stats in that. So that might be the one basketball game that that's different, so to speak. But as far as baseball, I know Al Wilson just come out with a new baseball game that looks really interesting. Um, and I was like, where's that going to fit in to everything here? Where's that going to fit in? Because baseball games, you can play a game of Appa. And geez, I've seen some people play a game of Appa in, like 10 minutes. Appa plays fast. If you know the charts and you don't get a lot of craziness in the game, you can fly through a game of Appa. And not that's what you're looking to do, but you can. So, but the express games, I guess there's like the quick play games, like the Downey games where you roll the dice and it's like, there's your final score. You look at the qualities of the teams or the offense and the defense of the teams, and then boom, you get your final score. So it's kind of a final score type of game. I enjoy those too. I did a whole season with the Mike Sealock 2-minute drill, and I forget what season I did. And I played out every game in the season, and it was fun. It was super fun. And then you get the express games, which are or the mid play games, excuse me. The mid play games, that don't play instantly, they take, anywhere between 8 minutes and maybe a half hour would be the mid play games. And so you're going to get some highlights. Those are kind of the highlight games. And then after that, then you're up to the 45 minutes and beyond type of games where you play the full games. I enjoy all three games. I enjoy final score games, I enjoy the express games, and I enjoy the full games. I really think it all depends on what's going on with me that day and how much time I have. Because I got a whole bunch of Apple behind me and a whole bunch of hockey bones over here behind me. And those games are fun, but I know I'm in for an hour to an hour and a half to play these things. And depending what happens in the game, if we get a lot of goals and a lot of penalties and there's a lot of crazy things happening, it could be longer than that. The difference is when you're done a full game, you've seen just about everything in the game as it happened. You get your shots, you get your penalties. It plays out. It's not a play-by-play, but you get that chunk of what happens, that 20 seconds, that 30 seconds, that 40 seconds of gameplay. And then, okay, what happened in that? Was there a shot? Was there more than one shot? Was there a penalty? Was there a goal? And so you don't get it like play by play, blow by blow, pass by pass, but you get pretty much what's happening in that little chunk of action there. And it's a smaller chunk. Whereas an express game, it's more of minutes. Okay, now if you go drive by drive game, it's several minutes of gameplay because it's the entire drive. You just get the drive out of the way. But if you play the full play games, especially football, you're going, 5-10 seconds at a whack. And that takes a long time to play out. But you get every bit of detail. As Brian stops by. And Marco chimes in and says, Express games are changing the way I game. I'm starting more ambitious long-term projects, and so far it's pretty great. Just started a 40-game hockey season and a 100-game baseball season. Yes, and that's exactly it. I pulled out. I have APA 78, baseball 78, and I was going to play every Red Sox game. And I got going on a pretty good clip. I was playing a couple games a night, and I get up to like 8 or 9 games, and then I got away from that and did something else. And I went back to it, and I played another game, of APA Red Sox game, and it was fun. I'm going to try to play the whole season, with APA, and that should go pretty quick. Just 150 something games, but even at 10 or 15 minutes a whack, it takes 5 or 10 minutes to set up to get the roster and line up everybody in the whole bit, and even play that in Digital Diamond. It does take a little bit to play. But that's a long project I would do an app. I wouldn't want to do something like that in a game that's going to take me a lot longer to play, a more complicated game. I definitely don't think I could do a long play version of baseball with all the games and was it thousands of games. I don't think I could do that. And even with hockey, the only full hockey season I ever played, I did final score hockey from Downey. I did the 70-71 season. I rolled every game. And again, it's once you get the ratings, you can play a game in a minute. It's like, Boston, Chicago, A versus B equals this, and Chicago C is this. What's the roll? Okay, here's Boston score, here's Chicago score, game's done. Again, in under a minute, you can play the game. So I did the whole season, and the stats come out pretty good. I think I did a video on that. Me and Ron did a video on that, and that was fun. I did shootout hockey. I did the 70, I think it was 73, 74 Seals, and they were a bad team. And I played every game rolling shootout. Now, that's 15, 20-minute game, but I did all, was it 78 games or 80 games, whatever it is. I did all the games, and that took me a few weeks to do. But again, it was a doable project with an express game, if you want to call it a quick play game. I think it's more. I think quick play is more final score-ish, one roll, two rolls, and express is a shortened version of a game where you get highlights. Not too many final score games you get highlights. If you do, for example, Downey's Ultra Quick Hockey, okay, which is different than the Downey Final Score Hockey. Final score is final score. You're done. Ultra quick, you get your final score, then you go back and you roll for your goals and assists. I don't know if you can do shots on net in that, but I think you can get your goals and assists. So if you want to tack things on at the end, it adds time to that final score game. So again, it's, do you want the final score? And you start adding details. This is what happens to your game time as I slide off the screen. Again, it's like the fish story. So I want to talk about that tonight and get your opinions on that. So if you're in the chat room, chime in. If you're watching this after, chime in. But, I was kind of, I guess I was defending the express games. I got something in my throat. Hang on a sec here. It's kind of dry in here tonight with the heat. The heat's on tonight. Although we had a nice day. I was out doing leaves. It was like 50 degrees. So I was outside with a leaf blower, blowing all the leaves around the yard. I have so much fun with that. Put on the headphones. I listen to something on YouTube. Or sometimes on Sundays, I'll have the football game on. It's very relaxing. But I guess I was kind of defending the express games because some people were like, well, I only play the full game because I want all the stats. And other people are like, well, I like the express games, but I do miss the stats, so I don't like to play them as much either. And I was like, I guess what's the deal? You get what you pay for. Okay. And you're paying for this with time. I guess that's what it is. You're paying for this with time, not money, so to speak. So a final score game, you're only playing it for a minute or two. You get the final score, not a lot of detail, not a lot of things to talk about as far as stats go, but you can talk about the final score. Okay. If you want to pay a little bit more time, then you get some details of the game. Okay, maybe you get your goal scores. Maybe, if it's football, you see who got the touchdowns or who, whatever it was. You get a little bit more detail in the express games. Okay, but then if you want to pay for it with an hour or two or even 3 hours, some of these games take to play the full thing out, you get everything. Okay, so you pay for it in time is kind of what it comes down to. And I think what I wrote today was, if you're hungry, you can pop in a TV dinner and have a quick meal. But if you want a Thanksgiving dinner, then you need the time to prepare that Thanksgiving dinner. Obviously, I think we'd all rather have a Thanksgiving dinner than a TV dinner. Although TV dinners are pretty damn good, I think. But of course, we'd rather have that Thanksgiving dinner with the stuffing and the turkey all just fresh out of the oven and the rolls that come out of the oven. And, we'd all rather have that nice meal than the TV dinner. You just can't pull that off in 10 or 15 minutes. You can't throw it in the microwave or, the TV dinner where you throw it in the oven for, I don't know how long they used to take, but you're done. All the prep is done for you. So I think that's what I wrote there. So it all depends. This is sometimes the TV dinner will fill you up if you're hungry, if that's what you want to play. And other times you want to go the full boat. And so I was playing Hockey Blast Express. And the good thing about that is it got me back into the Hockey Blast game. And I am enjoying the actual Hockey Blast game way more than I did in the past. I don't know if it was just I wasn't ready for it, or maybe this Express game kind of just got me in that way of thinking for Hockey Blast, but I'm enjoying the full Hockey Blast game. It is taking me 45 minutes to play. Okay. Setup's pretty easy with the Hockey Blast. I find I just kind of go with the strat of the Apple lines and just lay them out. And I try not to think too much about matchups. I just put them out there and then I'm done. And I think that's the fairest thing to do is just go by what another game's gave for lines. Unless I know that it's like, look, it's going to be, it's Esposito Hodge Music 789. I know that's, that was the Boston line for a while. So I might do that if I'm aware of something. But I try to go with usually what APA gave me because I have a lot of APA seasons. So I'll lay that out in Hockey Blast. And I even do that with the Hockey Blast Express. I'll take the top three lines, the three forward lines, the three defensive lines, and just lay them out in Hockey Blast. And that's my line. That's just kind of how I do it. I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it, but that's just what I do, and I have my fun with it. But I got back into Hockey Blast, and I had a lot of problems with it in the past. But now that I've played Express, and that made sense, I pulled out the full Hockey Blast, and I've been playing more Hockey Blast now than I have, and I've had the game for several years. And it's just making sense now. Maybe I just needed to be ready for it. I don't know, but whatever it's doing now, it's working. I've played it in the past, and I've had some fun. But I say it's like a game of Planko when the thing's bouncing on all the nails and lands at the bottom. And sometimes it goes down a bad path, and sometimes it goes down a good path. But since I played the Express, the Hockey Blast makes way more sense. The penalties make more sense. Even momentum is making more sense. Everything's just making more sense, and it's been a lot of fun. It really has. Is it going to be my go-to game? I don't know, but I know that it's finding a rotation very heavily on my table right now. And the Express game is super fun. I still think it runs hot with scoring. I mean, check my scores that I posted on Facebook for the Summit Series. I had a 9-6 game. I was like, holy cow. And I had 5 goals in one segment. I think maybe you cap the goals in a segment. That might help. Or maybe add a star to the goalie, because if Ken Dryden was 1 star, so that means every time that the Russians won the check, and I rolled for a Russian scoring chance, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were all a goal. And but I will say he did get a shutout in one of the games, so maybe it is okay. Maybe you just need to play more games. But I still felt, though, when I keep track of scoring chances, so again, if you have the matchup, if one team wins the matchup, that's a scoring chance. A roll of 1 or 6 is a scoring chance. That's a scoring chance. I was scoring at least 80% of my scoring chances. So anytime a matchup come up, it was almost always a goal. Not all the time, but almost always a goal. So I thought that was a little heavy. But then again, shootout hockey, when you play shootout and you get a slot chance, that's usually a goal too. So there's not a lot of slot chances that you miss either. So maybe it's fine. I just felt that it just ran a little hot. I would like to see some lower scoring games for hockey instead of the Wild West shootout. But again, that's an Express game. So things are condensed, and there's some sacrifices that you have to make. That being said, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I'm not going to stop playing it. I don't care if the scores are high. I'm not going to stop playing it. I enjoy it. And I want to play the regular Hockey Blast more. In fact, just because how things have been going here, I got the holidays here, and I've been working a lot and the whole bit. I haven't had the chance to pull out Aperol Hockey Bones and play a full game at an hour and a half. And I'm dying to, especially after the hockey talk last night. I want to pull out a Mike Palmatier team and play him, or a Tony Esposito team and play that. But I haven't had the chance to pull that out and play it. So that's where the Express game come in. And I almost pulled out Shootout tonight, but instead, after I get done playing Hockey Blast Express, I said, I think I'll come over here and just chat and say hi to everybody. So I almost pulled out Shootout tonight because I wanted to play a game. Again, and what you can do with these Express games or even the Final Score games, I can get that fix like that. I want to play a Mike Palmatier game right now, and I was just watching some 69-70 Bruins highlights. I want to play that 69-70 Bruins team. I can pull out Hockey Blast Express. I can pull out Shootout. I can pull out Stone Cold. And I can play a game in 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I get my fix. And if I want to go to the next level, I pull out Hockey Blast, which I think that's the next level up from the Express games, and get in a game in 30 to 40 minutes. If I really want to spend the time, then I pull out the Apra and the Hockey Bones, or I get on the computer and I play some strat hockey, if you will. Now I'm up closer to the hour or more. So there's all these things. But like I said, tonight I just wanted to bang on a couple of games, and that's where the Final Score and the Express games, they work so well. Baseball's a little different. Baseball plays pretty fast. Okay, so and I know that Play has History Maker Baseball Express. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm interested. I think I might put that on my Christmas list, or the Highlight Maker Hoops Express, if that's what it's called, because I'm enjoying the quicker play games. I really am. So let me go back to my chat room here. And Chris asked, do I like Big Bet for a long game? I have Big Bet, and I have one season, and I've played it. It's okay. It didn't grab me. It's something that I want to go back to and find out why it didn't grab me. It just it was fine. It was fine, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of status pro hockey, which was fine, but for some reason I did like, shootout better and Appa and Hockey Bones better than those games. Just personal preference. I couldn't tell you why, but I have played Big Bet, and I did figure out how to play. I mean, I wasn't an expert, but I got it to flow on the table, and I wasn't stuck. I wasn't sitting there figuring, oh, what do I do here? I can't figure this out. I did play it, and it was okay. And I'd like to go back to it. My thing with was it Big Bet or 4th Street? One of the two didn't have a lot of seasons that I wanted to play. I think it was 4th Street, because I was going to get 4th Street, but I'm like, well, if I love this game and they don't have many seasons that I want to play, then I don't want to love it. That type of thing. And again, just going back to what Marco said, Express Games are changing the way he games. He's starting more ambitious, long projects, and I think that's the part of it. So there's two ways you can look at an Express game. You can say, well, this is going to give me the opportunity to play a longer project, so I could bang out, like I say, I banged out that California Golden Seal season with 73-74 shootout, and I did all the games. I would never do. I'm trying to do that with Hockey Bones with the 92 Bruins, okay? I have the 91-92 season. It was 92-93. It's one of the two. And I said, I'm going to play every Bruins game, see how I do. And I started that, and I'm 10 games into it. But I had that set up on my other table where I could play a period here, a period there, and I get through a game, and it was really kind of fun. But I've abandoned that. I haven't played that in a long time, and I hope to pull that out and play it again at some point. But I didn't stick with it because I like to play different games. I don't want to have one game stuck on my table for 6 weeks while I do a long project. I like my variety. That's just where I am right now. So I like to play a couple games of Hockey Blast, a couple games of Hockey Bones. And so my bigger projects, like Marco said, the bigger projects, I will stick with them if I can get through them faster, because I'm playing the quicker games. That's just me, because I know myself. I'm not going to put an hour to 2 hour game on my table and expect to play a full season's worth of games. Just not going to happen unless it's football and it's 14 or 16 games. So for the Express games, they open up the longer projects for me, or even the one-off. Sometimes, like I say, I come down here tonight and it says I get 3 more games in my Summit series. I had played 5 games. I needed to play 6, 7, and 8. And I put I just got out the Hockey Blast Express, pulled out a couple score sheets, set my lines, and I played the games in about 45 minutes. I finished up. I think it took me 45 minutes to an hour to play the 3 games, and that project's done. 8 games, finished that up, had some fun with it, and there's enough detail, and I got the goal scorers to play and have some fun with that. So aside from the long-term products, you can kind of bang something out in a night. And I don't know about you guys, but excuse me, sometimes I come downstairs here to my gaming area, and I'm like, how much energy do I have at night? How much mental capacity do I have? Because sometimes you just don't have the mental capacity to take on something big. That's why I like to play baseball sometimes, because I know I can do a full baseball game in a shorter time than I'm going to do with football or hockey. So baseball is fun because I can get a game in, maybe 20 minutes to a half hour and have some fun with it. And I get the full experience when I play the baseball games. But sometimes I come down here, it's like, what do I have? What do I have? What do I want to play? I want to play something. And if I don't have the hour and a half to go and play the big game, I play an Express game. So that's what Express games are good for. The longer projects, so you get quicker games. And to bang out a game, you just want to play something, and you don't want to take all night doing it. You don't want to take all night setting it up. The Express games are perfect for that. I really want to get back in the second season Express. That was fun for me. To play a football game. I don't know how long it takes. Marco said, Marco, how long does it take to play that second season Express? Is that like 20 minutes to a half hour or something like that? And he found a way to get stats. I just get the final scores in those games, and I'm fun. But it's better than rolling for a final score. It's not a final score game. But if I just want to play play some playoffs, I think that's a fun way to do it. It's a little bit better than a drive-by-drive game, it really is. And let's see, Fenner stopping by. Thanks for coming by. And Brian says, I've been trying to have a couple of projects going at once, one using Express and one playing full play. That way, see, that's a good idea. It depends how he feels. He can do either one. That's a terrific idea. It really is, and so that way it's like, hey, I get the time, and the house is quiet. I'm gonna go and play my big game tonight. It's not. I got to sneak something in here. Maybe it's before work, or people are coming home. Like I said, today I had a friend come over, so I did my yard. I was out breaking leaves and leaf blower and stuff. And I come in, he's like, "Oh, I'll be over in 15 minutes." So I didn't have a chance to play anything. If he said, "Hey, I'll be over in an hour," I could have maybe played an express game or something, but I certainly wasn't going to be playing a game of apple hockey and before he comes over. So again, it comes to that. But that's a great idea. You have an express area and then a full play area, and pick the game you want to play. I think that. Adam01 says, I want stats. Yeah, so for you, the final score in the express games are not a good idea. If you want your stats, and you're going to be playing the full Monty, and you'll get your stats. So that's the way to go if you want stats. Scott, good to see you, Scott. We haven't talked in a while, Scott. Good to talk to you again. Express games are the way I play now. I find he doesn't need all the stats to enjoy a replay. And again, that's what it comes down to. Do you want all the stats, or are you okay with some of the stats? Are you okay with no stats? Again, you pay for it in time. It's, the final score games, the express, and then the full game. So you pay for it in time, and you get what you pay for with that time. And so again, so if we had someone here that wants the stats and is going to play the full game, and someone that says, I'm okay with the express game, get a little bit of stats. I know Ron, I was talking to Ron today, and he's always telling me how he doesn't really watch football or hockey games anymore. He goes, he waits till the game's over, and he goes to YouTube, and he gets the the 8, 9, 10-minute version of the game. And I do that too in the morning. I'll get up in the morning, have my coffee before work, go to YouTube, and I'll check, either football or hockey highlights, whatever I'm looking at, and you get the condensed version of the game. You see all the goals and all the plays, and so a little bit of extra stuff, but you get a condensed version of the game, and that satisfies him. And I think in today's world, that's kind of where it is, because everything is just so fast and instantaneous, and everybody, we have drive-throughs for food now. I mean, it's just, remember back in the day when you get down to the store and your family ordered a stereo or a TV. It's like, great, we'll have it delivered in 2 or 3 weeks. Now you take it home with you. But back in the day, you used to have to wait for it. So everything is faster today, and so sometimes it's better just to get those fast games in. And Ron says you like the visor. Yeah, this is new. I just got my visor in. It's new. It's the first time I've worn it here on the channel. There's a baseball site that I stumbled on maybe last year, maybe last Black Friday, and they sell these baseball visors. They're under like $9, I think. And so I go, and whatever they have in stock, I buy on Black Friday, and I'll buy 4 or 5 at a time because they're so inexpensive. And I like to wear them when I play the baseball games. I try to match up the team to what I'm playing. And so I went and I got a few more this year, and Kansas City was one of them. So I didn't have anything Kansas City, I don't think, except for Scouts. So I can wear this when I play the Scouts games, I guess, Doug says, he goes, hello, Dave. I think Al Wilson is going to release his new fast baseball game next weekend called Fascinating Baseball. And from what he has seen, it looks good. Yep, I saw Al Wilson playing that, and it looks very interesting. It really does, because I was asking, where's this going to fit? Okay, because you got your final score games, and then you got, say APA, which doesn't take long to play at all. Quick setup, quick play. Even Strat plays pretty quick. I'm getting better at payoff pitch. I'm going to do a payoff pitch video, by the way, and kind of show how I play, how the game plays for me, because there's different ways to play it. And that's where I was getting tripped up. I was, runners on base, and the pitch comes in and there's a hit. What happens? How do you resolve that? And there's different ways of doing it, which is good, but it's also confusing, because I needed to settle on a way to resolve plays, and they give you different ways of doing it. And again, options are good, but also options can be confusing. It's like, okay, well, do I resolve it by flipping a fast action card? Do I go to the chart? I mean, there's one way that says this is automatic. There's another way to say no. You got to flip a card for it. So I found a way to play payoff pitch, and now that I've given that a chance, it's just one of my favorite games. And I was ready to get rid of payoff pitch. I did. I had a couple of seasons like I can't figure this game out. It's bugging me. And then it was a replay gamer that had a video that said, "Hey, let's take a look at the new rules and new charts for payoff pitch." And I was like, "Oh, that's right. That's what's messing me up. I had the old charts and the new charts, and I was mixing them up." And so I had to just settle on the way. And once I settled on the way, I'm loving it now. But I was wondering where that fascinating baseball was going to fit, and I think it's going to work. From what I've seen, you can play a baseball game kind of quick. It's almost like you get a highlight of that inning, So you roll the dice and look at the chart, and I don't know if you have the card. I think you have a team card, and you look at the card, and you're like, okay, what happened with this guy in that inning? Maybe look. I think you just look at the batter and the pitcher, and then that kind of sums up what happened in the inning. So that might be kind of neat. The only thing is, the key word is abstract, and I found that. Well, I just put it away, and in the Hockey Blast Express rules, it was talking about that things here are kind of abstract. So don't look at it as though this is how everything's going to be. Picture this as part of the game. Like in shootout hockey, when you roll the dice and you get a penalty, or you flip the card and you get a penalty, you get a lot of penalties all at once. And so you're not calling 3 penalties in a row, but you're going to give the one power play, and the 2 other ones were something that happened during the game that nobody scored on. But that'll give you stats. And so it's kind of abstract. So you got to kind of look at it not in some kind of an order, but at some point during the game, this happened. And I think that's where Al Wilson was going with his game. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think that's where he was going. Whereas here's something that happened in that inning, but don't look at it as though, well, why is this guy doing this? Because this guy bats before him and this guy bats after him. This is just kind of a overhead look at what was going on, and this is the result. And with Hockey Blast Express, it's the same thing. It's like, don't look at this as right down the line is how the game was played, and this is kind of an abstract view of everything that happened during the game, and you're going to get little snippets of it. So I think that's what it was that he was going for, and I think that'll work. I do. I'm going to check that out. And getting back to the chat room here, Smelly Wrestling Geek, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming by. Does APA have an express game? I don't think so, no. But the APA, you can play that APA game so fast. I've gone on to YouTube and I've seen guys play so fast. They get the APA cards out and they're like rolling the dice, and it's like boom, 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 done. And they can play a game in 10 minutes. And it's like, because they know the charts. I don't have the charts memorized. I have some of them, but not all of them. I still, even the ones I memorized, I still want to make sure that I'm right. And so, but that game moves really fast. It really does. I got the payoff pitch moving pretty quick now, too. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the Strat Basic, I love. That moves really quick. Although I got to say that people convinced me to play Strat Advanced, not Super Advanced, just regular Advanced. And I did like that. It's taken me longer than Basic. Basic, I still think is super fun. But the Advanced is it gives you a little bit more meat on the bone, I think. And it doesn't take that much longer. But so I like that too. But where are we now here in the chat? But I don't think APA has an express game. I think that's probably the quickest baseball game out there as far as the full play games. David C comes by. Good to talk to you, David. Good evening, David in chat. I typically only play quick play games for sports that I've not been able to find regular play for. That's interesting. Rugby, arena football, skiing, AHL hockey, etc. My first question is, what AHL hockey game do you play? I think the only one I found that had the Worcester Ice Cats was Paradise Hockey, had the Worcester Ice Cats. And Mike Seelock did a quick play hockey game that he gave you the formula to figure out teams. And I think I did the 94 Eastern division. Man, I got a tickle in my throat tonight. I should see if I got a something over here I can put in my throat, and I do. So he created a hockey game, and you could rate your own teams. And I think I created the Eastern Division of the AHL in '94, '95 when the Ice Cats were the original team. And I set up the schedule for it. And you just roll dice, and it gives you scoring chances to try to see if you can score goals. And I set that up. So that's the other game aside from Paradise that had AHL. But that's an interesting point. Like arena football. I have arena football and game winning drive. It's a little confusing. I had a couple of questions I put up on the Downey forum, and no one got back to me on that. Like, how do you do that? How do you set up? There's a couple of arena football questions that I was unclear on, but it was fun. I think I was playing the KISS team. KISS had a team out of LA, and I forget what the team was called, but KISS sponsored a team, so I was playing the KISS team in one of the games of arena football and game winning drive. It was kind of fun. But that's a good point. There's certain if you like a sport and there's no full game for it, then you play whatever you can find for it. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. And Smelling Wrestling Geese, it's time to set up a room full of tables. Yeah. Well, I have my my table here. Let's see here. This is studio. Well, right here. Studio A is moved from over here after the flood over to here, and so now it's kind of neat now. So now I can just roll over here, and I can play in Studio A, and sometimes I can even broadcast from Studio A now, which is kind of neat. But yeah, I mean, that would be my goal, to have a nice big house and have like one big room with like all these tables, just set up all the individual games and just what do I want to play? I sit down at the the payoff pitch table, sit down at the APA table and play. That would be kind of fun, David C says, my goal is to play a regular full style game. I do understand why people play the quick play games. He's not played any of the Play Express games. I think if you played Express games, you'd be happy with how fast it plays, but you would be unhappy because you don't get the full bite of the apple, so to speak. When you play any kind of a Express game, you get the game done, but let's face it, when you play a full hockey game or a full football game, like when I play a game of Apple Hockey Bones, or second season football, or solitaire pro football, when I sit down and play a game of that and I'm done, I feel like I was at the game, because I'm at that for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you see everything. You see every pass, every run, every penalty flag, every goal, every assist, every shot on. You see everything that happens in the game when you do a full play game. And there's a satisfaction in that. Like when you're done, you're like, you take your pen and it's like game over. You drop the pen on the table. You're like, wow, that was fun. I got to see the whole game. I didn't miss anything. That's the great thing about a full play game. In the quicker play games, you're not full. You don't have a full belly. You don't sit there going, oh yeah, that was a great meal. You had some of the meal. You had some appetizers. You get a few details, but you can bounce in and bounce out of that game really quick. Doug comes by and says, second season Express usually plays in 30 minutes, and he likes that game. I played that the other day, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I really did. I played some second season Express, and I forget who I played. I played as 1980. It was Browns and the Oilers, and the Browns beat them up pretty good. The Oilers fumbled 2 kickoffs in a row. Well, the Browns fumbled 2 kickoffs in a row. One of the team, touchdown, kicked off, fumbled, touchdown, kicked off, fumbled, another touchdown. Now, somebody said that they put in a homebrew rule where you can't get back-to-back fumbles on kickoffs. I think that's the one thing. We did a whole show on making it make sense, and it was kind of off of something that happened in one of ID's games, and I think ID's here in the chat. Hi, ID, if you're still here. It was one of ID's games, and he was playing, maybe it was second season he was playing, and in the last couple of plays of the game, he got some really weird things that happened. And one was a video review, and one was a penalty, and things that just plays that wouldn't be called, and things that wouldn't normally happen at the end of a close football game were happening. And I remember ID was like, well, do I play it out as is, or do I homebrew something in here? He's like, what do I do? Because this is not making sense. So we did a whole show. It was kind of based off of that. It's like making it make sense. If you're playing a game and something happens, and you're just like, there is just no way this would happen like this, you know. So sometimes you gotta make it make sense. And tabletop games sometimes they're unbelievable. I still can't believe that I'm rolling dice and I'm playing hockey and baseball and football games, and I feel like I'm watching them play out in front of me. But they can't account for everything. Again, the dice and the charts have no idea what's going on. They don't know about, you know, if things have, there's no human factor to that. It's all just straight math. But sometimes it's just things happen. You're like, yeah, that's why people homebrew stuff in. It's because they play it and they play it. And like I say, I had the 2 kickoff fumbles in a row. Who knows? Maybe it was a messy day in Cleveland, and that could be part of the storyline. And I just go with it, or I just say, well, I don't think we'd be fumbling 2 kickoffs in a row, so I should cap it at 1. The same with the Hockey Blast Express. You play a segment. It's a 5-minute segment. And you play that segment until there's a stoppage. So meaning a save, anything that's a non-goal. Okay, so if you roll and you get a goal, you stay in the segment. If you get another goal, you stay in the segment. If you keep scoring goals, you keep staying in that segment. And once finally there's no goal, whether it's a goalie save or the team didn't convert or whatever it is, or if you check the matchup and neither person wins the matchup, then that ends the segment. But you can keep scoring goals forever. And I got up to 5 goals one time. I think that was tonight in the 9-6 game. I got 5 goals in a row before I left the first 5-minute segment. And some people said they cap it at 2. Some people cap it at 3, and some people say nope. I'm going to play as much as as many goals as possible. So that's something that you could do as well. But again, am I going to get 5 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game? Maybe, or do I cap that off and say, look, I'm going to cap this here. The team can only get 2 goals or 3 goals tops, and then I got to move on. And so it's like the same with the second season Express. I get 2 fumbled kickoffs in a row. Oh, I don't know about that. But again, make it make sense. Do you want to write that into the storyline, or do you want to say, yep, I don't think I could do that? Marco comes back in and says he couldn't get into any tabletop football game until second season Express, and I can see why. It's really, really fun. It really is. And ID says that the 8-minute recap is the way to go, and games that play like that are excellent. Yep. So we were talking about getting the highlights in 8 or 9 minutes on YouTube after the game's over. I like to do that. Like I say, I'll sit in the morning, have my coffee, and I'll get the football highlights or the hockey highlights. And it depends what happens. Sometimes there'll be a crazy game. Sometimes you'll see a hockey game and it's like 10-2. And you're like, okay, I have to see what happened here. And you sit down, you watch that, and you watch all the goals. You're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, So that's what makes it fun. I'm glad they do that too, that you can get that recap, and see how that goes. Let's see. Let's go back to the chat room here. And Rob says, he goes, I get the allure of express games for those who don't have the time to play full. He goes, for me, express feels like a 360p version versus 4K definition. It's just too abstracted for me. That's a good way of putting it. Again, you're not getting the full picture. You're getting a very condensed version of what happened. And, and again, like I say, you watch that 8-9 minute recap of a football game, you'll see all the touchdowns and stuff, but you might not see the whole drive that led to that. You might see a key play or a key penalty or something like that, but you won't see the 2-3 yard runs from the running back that's like pounding it up the field. You know what I mean? This guy can't be stopped. He's getting 2 or 3 yards of carry. It's like, it's a long drive, but you only see the big passes and stuff. So I get that. Mo says, I recently got Bank Shot Basketball. I like it, although it's not an express game. No, I've been looking at that. Rod has a great YouTube channel for basketball. I think it's Rod's Tabletop Gaming. And Rod does all basketball. And he was playing that the other day, and I was watching that, and that had me intrigued. I have the other one, the other basketball game, and that was fine. The only problem with the basketball game, the old one, was you had to put out 1 through 5 in black markers and then 1 through 5 in the white markers and mark the highest to the lowest for some skill quality. And every time you substitute it in, you had to redo that because you'd roll the dice or flip the card and would say, 1 versus 3 matchup. So now you know who you're looking at. So that's very important. And I think they got rid of that in Bank Shot because that was the biggest hang up for me. It was like the game was fun and I could follow it and you could see, okay, this is the matchup and I'm rolling dice here and this guy's doing this. And I had fun with the older basketball game. But again, every time I had to substitute somebody in, you had to reset all the numbers, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So I think I want to check out the Bank Shot. I should have got that on the sale. I think I said that next year I'm going to do some basketball, and I'll grab the Bank Shot next year, unless there's some other kind of printed sale, because I think it's got the fast action cards, and I don't want to print those out. So I might do that as well. But Bank Shot looked pretty good. Mo continues, says, but the express games are fine. And he has plenty of them when he needs a quick fix. And that's what they're good for. They're good for a quick fix. So when you don't have a lot of time, or if, like Marco said, you want to do a longer project and you don't want it to take a year and a half. You're like, I want to play a 40-game season of hockey. And I can play, if the game's going to take me 8 to 10 minutes, I can do that. And the same with football. I can play a whole football season if the game's going to take me a half hour. Because I can play 8 games in 4 hours. So on a Sunday, if I have 4 hours to myself, I can bang out a week's worth of football, or something like that. So those are available. And let's see, go back to the chat room. Brian says, I haven't played anything but games from Strat and Play. Play has found a way to give you a ton of highlights, helping your imagination flow in their express games, which is a lot of times all you need. And that's the point. That's the exact point of the express games is to give you a taste of it. It's almost like a sample platter. Like, if you go to the brew house and you get the little things of beer, and you're like, okay, well, I don't need a full mug of beer. I just want to taste them, and they come, oh, this is pretty good. And this is pretty good. Whatever it is, and that's what people do. And then, maybe you say, hey, this one is the best beer. So I want to go and get the big one. So I'm going to play the full game, but they do work really well. If you just want to play a quick one. David C. Bank Shot basketball is a lot of fun. Moves along at a good pace. That's good. And yes, it's a long story. And Justin comes in. Hi, Justin. Express games. Oh, sorry. I get a tickle my throat, so I got a little thing here. Express games are great for basketball and football, which take way too long for play-by-play games and projects. I would add hockey into that. I really would. And Mo says he's waiting for that Fast Ride baseball game to drop on the 16th by Al Wilson. Yep. And yes, APA baseball does get it done quickly. It is. And he likes the pennants. Yeah, I put up some new ones. In fact, the ones over here, you can see these are new ones. I found those on eBay. Those are the small ones. I usually don't like the small pennants, but that was Tampa Bay, Seattle. And they come in 76. Those are the 2 new teams. So I was like, I'm going to get those. They were only a couple of bucks. And it was from the same guy. And so I said, yeah, I'll get those and I'll put them up on the wall here because I like, those are the expansion teams. So that's my little expansion area over there, if you will. Let's see. Baseball Maelstrom comes in. Good to see you here tonight. He goes, I enjoy the drama of a full baseball game. That's the piece that's missing in the express games. Yep, you're exactly right. Is that you get a little bit of drama. The express games give you a little bit of everything. And when I say express games, I'm not kind of just referring to the play. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay, so this is not just focusing on the play express game. This is all games that are a condensed version of a full game. So let's just get that out of the way. Then we're not here just singling out the play games, although that they've done a really good job giving you express versions of their full game. Okay, let's just call it what it is. They've done a great job of that. But yes, when you do the express games, you're missing pieces of it because you're not getting, you're getting the cliff notes. So if you want to read the whole book, that's great. Otherwise, you get the cliff notes. What I enjoy doing is on YouTube. I like watching the movie recap channels. In fact, I did narration for a movie recap channel for a year. Actually, it was over a year. And they since stopped doing it. I don't even know if the channel's around anymore, but they said they couldn't afford to pay me anymore. So I said, well, I can't do it for free. But I enjoy watching those. It's like I get a 10 to 15 minute recap of a movie, and then I can decide if I want to see the movie or not. It's like, boy, that recap was good. I'm going to go watch it. And there was a few I did. I was like, man, I got to watch this movie now after seeing this recap, But some of the recaps were 30, 35 minutes long. It's like, man, if I'm going to sit and watch a half-hour recap of a movie, I might as well just watch the whole movie, the hour and a half movie or whatever it is, or the hour-long movie. So the recap, I mean, if it's 8-10 minutes, I'll watch it, see if I like the movie. But you miss so much of that. I can tell you everything that happened in a movie. Like, I can, any movie at all, I can say, hey, well, tell me what happened. I can tell you what happened, but to see it play out or watch the character backstories build up and all the things I'd have to leave out of the story to tell you about that movie, you're not gonna get that unless you watch the full movie. Then you're like, oh man, this is great. But it's like a book. You read the whole book, or you can get the cliff notes. Cliff notes, well, tells you what happened. Tells you exactly what happened, but you don't get the stories. And that's why sometimes you read a book is you want to be entertained. And if you just want to find out what happened at the end, and you get the cliff notes. But if you want to be entertained, you do the full book. So I get where you were going on that, you know. And Rob comes back and says, unless the cards and dice result is definitely something that couldn't happen, I go with it. Denver misses a game-winning field goal with 4 seconds, but there's a penalty on Buffalo. Re-kick can walk-off win. Real life is weird too. Oh, I agree with that. But well, let's just say that you were trying to kick a field goal, and the defense was offside 5 times in a row. Okay, so you're going for a 60-yard kick. You roll the dice, you miss the kick, but it's offside. 5 yards close, a 55-yard kick. You roll the dice, he misses a kick, but it's offside. Okay, and so you keep missing the long kick. Well, now you've 5 offsides in a row. Now you're, instead of 60 yards or 55 yards, now you're down around a 30, 35-yard kick. And what if you just keep missing the kick and you keep rolling for offsides? That's not realistic. Like, that's kind of where I'm going at, is when you get the real crazy extreme things that happen in a game. That's when you got to decide what you're going to do. And you don't usually get that in express games because you don't have the play-by-play in the express games. So you skip all that stuff there. So the stuff that happens in the express games, you don't have that usually. Although, like I say, in the hockey blast, I got those 5 goals like in the first couple of minutes of the game. Like, I don't know about that either, but I rolled with it. And Ron says he just picked up second season football. He's thinking about getting second season express and playing the Chiefs 69 season. Second season, I got a second season express. I think I bought it with second season because I wanted the express. But they said it's better off if you have the full game. So fine. So I bought the full game and the express, and I bought the mat too. I found out I had the mat. I've been playing it without the mat, but I forgot I had the mat. So I have it all ready to go. And I says, well, I'm just going to play second season express. Well, so I played second season express. It was fine. Get the game done quicker, and you get a final score, and you feel like that, the teams are contributing. Okay. But then I went to play the full second season game, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would rather play the full game of second season than the second season express, because second season is that good of a game. And I know it's going to take a long time to play, and that's what stinks about it. But if I really, like, when I sit down with a football game, I really want to play that out now because it's so good. And the express is fine, but after I played the full game and then I played the express, I was like, oh man, I bought it for the express because I wanted a quick football game, but I just love the full game. So for me, it just thinks that I like the full game better. And Noble says express games help with season-long replays. Yep, they do. Yep, they do. Rob says, up here in Canada, you get the full 5 pints worth of tasters. That's interesting. And he says that that interview with Randy yesterday was gold. Yes, wasn't she good? She knew her stuff. She got the interviews in. She was very personable. And it just and I felt bad because she said she had a Christmas party that night because here we are in December, it's Christmas time, and it's a Saturday night. Like, hey, you want to come on Digital to Dice? On a Saturday night when it's like prime Christmas party season. She did. She come on. And so I said, well, we'll go early. We'll do 6 to 7. We'll get you out of here in an hour. And she hung out. And she probably would have gone longer. But I was like, I don't want to tie her up too long. But she's like, I could talk hockey all night. Like, me too. I wish maybe it was a different time of the season, and I know she was having connection problems. But if she had a good connection, it was like summertime, we probably would have spent a couple of hours just talking hockey, and that would have been fantastic. In fact, we'll probably have to do that. I'll have to have her back on at some point there. We'll have a hockey night. Maybe if we get into like Stanley Cup season, I'll have some of the hockey people come on, and we'll invite her and see if she want to come on and talk some hockey with us, because that was fantastic. It really was. Um, and okay, so he says the 5 times offside, that would be cheesy. It never had it happen, but no reason why it would be impossible. Nothing's impossible. If there's a rare play that an alien spaceship comes down and zaps away one team, I mean, anything's possible. But you know, make it make sense. Like when I play these games, make it make sense. I mean, is this making sense or is it not making sense? And that's kind of where I go with some of these things. Marco's back here in the chat room. He's currently doing an entire fictional football season with Second Season Express with the stats. I never would imagine doing something like this with a full version of Apple or Strat. Now, I don't remember Second Season Express giving stats. Is that a homebrew thing that you have or somebody has, or is that in the Second Season Express booklet? Does that show you how to get the stats? I remember you saying that you were going to get stats. I saw your video getting stats, but I don't remember if that was part of Second Season Express or if that was something that somebody come up with, because people are very creative with these quick play games and the express games as far as kind of manufacturing stats or creating stats for the game that work within the final score, so to speak. So you'll get, runs from a running back and how many yards and passing yards and the whole bit. And it still kind of fits into what happened during the game. So some people are creative with coming up with that. I just don't know if that's actually in the game. And yeah, we should play a hockey board game with her while we chat up hockey. Yeah, I was trying to explain what we did as far as the community goes, as far as playing games. And she's like, she heard of some of the games. And I said, well, it's kind of like playing, I hate to say Monopoly. It's not really Monopoly. It's more like playing like Risk or something like that, where you roll and you see what happens, and there's strategy involved in the whole bit sometimes. So, but it was hard to describe it to her, but I think she got the gist of it. So yeah, maybe we could show how to play that sometime and say, hey, we'll roll a hockey game here and and play it out. So, so yeah, so the express games, yeah. So again, what do you guys think here as far as express games go? I won't tie everybody up all night here. I know it's kind of getting late on a Sunday night, but yeah, express games. I'm not talking just to play express games. I'm talking about express games in general, quicker play games, games that are not the full Monty. Games are not going to take you an hour and a half, 2 hours to play. And I know some people love that. Some people will absolutely love playing the full games, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, when I'm done a game of APA, or if I played a game of Solitaire Pro Football or Second Season, I haven't played too many full games, but when I did in the past, it was awesome. You sit in the great thing about a full game, like when you're done the full game, right? And this is one feeling that I don't get with an express or a quick play game. When I play a full game of something and you're done, again, you take your pen and you put it down and you do the post game show in your head. You rewind everything that happened in the game, and you're like, oh, here's the drive here that there was the interception, and here's the drive that they had the 45-yard pass on 3rd and 15 to keep the drive going, and you rewind the game in your head because you saw everything play out on the table. If it's a hockey game that you play, then it's like you remember the 4 shots that you got on the net, and the fifth rebound went in or something like that. It's like they peppered them with 15 shots in that second period, and they got a couple of goals here. Or, they didn't get a shot for 10 minutes, and then they finally scored on their only shot, in the last half of the period to tie the game or something like that. You remember all that, and when you're done, because you've done all the mundane stuff, you've had the the little, the 1 yard runs and the incomplete passes or the turnovers of the puck or whatever game you're playing. You've done all the mundane stuff, but you needed all that to build up to the big stuff. Whereas the express and the highlight games, you get the highlights. You just get the 9-minute version of the game, but you don't get the whole thing. So you don't appreciate those big moments because you've had so many little moments that build up to the big moment. Because in a highlight game, everything's a big moment. Everything's a scoring chance. Or, when you're playing a drive-by-drive football game, you don't have the build-up for it. It's just what happened on the drive. Oh, they get a touchdown. You need, they completed a 3rd and 15 that you never saw. Things like that. So the full play games, when you're done, I usually let a big breath. It's like that was done, and I rewind in my head everything that happened. I look at the stats that I wrote down. It's like, oh man, that was incredible. That was an experience. It really is. That was an experience, and you don't get that with the express games that much. Now, if you play a set or a series of something, you might, if you played a World Series or something like that, you might. I think I did and when I did the Summit Series with shootout hockey, that was an experience, okay? And it's just a highlight game. But because I played all 8 games, it took all 8 games to tell that story. It wasn't just one game. It took 8 games to tell that story because I wasn't, again, shootout's a highlight game. And then there's another game I played. I want to say it was the play quick results chart, and I replayed the playoffs of one of the WHA seasons they had, and I just rolled the dice and looked at the chart to see who won. And I remember that there's no, like I said, there's no stats in that. It was just kind of like who won. It's not even a score, just who won. And I think I did that, and there was one team that it must have been like a 70% chance to win every game. And the other team won the series somehow by rolling on that 25 or 30% chance to win. And that told a little bit of story too. But again, it was the whole series. It wasn't just one game. You needed a lot to tell that story, if that makes any sense. And Rob says, Express Games will free up more time to get back behind the kit and smashing the skins. Yeah, I walk by the drum set over there every day, and I said, I need to play that. And I feel bad because I played it for like 5 or 6 weeks, and I was getting okay. And then when the flood came, and I took it apart, and I got it set up, but I still don't have it plugged in or put together, and I haven't tested it to make sure everything's still plugged in correctly. But I need to do that. I did. Although at the end of every summer, like August, September, I usually have a lot of time in my hands. And that's when I started to write a book one time. I learn a hobby or I learn a new skill or, I do something for a few weeks in August, September because I have a lot of time. And so this year was the drums. And then inevitably the end of September comes around and boom, I'm in full hockey season and I never get back to my product. So that's just kind of how it works for me. Yeah, full play games give you the context against which the highlights happen. Yeah, and that's the thing, is you sit through a lot of mundane things, and then when the big things happen, that's awesome. That's awesome. And a highlight game is like, oh, it's a goal. Oh, it's a touchdown. Oh, it's a field goal. Well, yeah. How do you get excited for you're just getting the scoring plays? It's hard to get excited. There's no when you go to a hockey game and the team's rushing the puck up, you're like you hear the build up and then or yay. When you just see the shot on the net, you don't see the build up of the play at the blue line, the guy falling down, and everyone standing up because the team's rushing up the ice 2-on-1. You don't get that. You don't get that the build up. Out of right field, good to see you. Hope you're having a good night. A big part of the fun for me is the stats. Quick play games don't often do that. Yes, that's exactly right. And that's what we're talking here tonight. And there was someone else back in too. I think it was Adam Zero said the same thing, that he wants the stats. And when you want that, and there's nothing wrong with that, because there's times I want stats too, then you go the full game and you get those. And I think that's why I play a lot of baseball here on the channels, because I play the full game. I see every at bat, not every pitch, but I get every at bat. And so I can see how people did, how many strikeouts, how many pop outs, how many, whatever happened in the game. And that's the fun part about baseball, is that you get all those stats almost in an express time frame. But again, if you want to play the hockey or the football, especially the football and even the basketball, it's a long, long process. But you are satisfied. When you play an express game, sometimes it's like, man, this was great. It was 5-4 or whatever it was. I'd like to know how many shots they had. Sometimes you play a long play hockey game of, Strat or Bones or Apper, and you look, it's like, man, they got outshot 30-10, and it was a 2-2 tie. It's like, man, this goalie made 28 saves. He stood on his head. You don't get that in express games. I mean, you can tack it on sometimes with a roll of the dice, but you don't see it happen. It's very abstract. So yes, yes, and Rob says the wife is a very big fan of the build-up, and hopefully you're talking about hockey. I hope you're talking about hockey. I really do. Okay, let's just say we're talking about hockey. I watched a really good video on YouTube last night about East Coast Hockey League arenas. There's a channel that goes around all the arenas, or at least shows videos of them. And I don't know if they take the video, if they just find them on the internet, but they did all the East Coast teams. I think I saw the AHL one, and then they did the East Coast team, and there was some that were pretty cool. They were like right next to baseball stadiums, and a lot of them were in the towns. It's like my thing, being a practical guy. Like when I see these hockey rinks, the first thing I look for, like they show an overhead view of the building, like and where it was situated, and then they would go on the inside. I would freeze frame the overhead view and look for the parking. That's how I think. It's like, I'm gonna go to the hockey game. Great. Where's the parking lot? And a lot of them were in the city, like Madison Square Garden. It's like, where the heck do you park? It's like, I don't see, unless there's a parking garage over here, I don't see any big lots. Like some of the rinks were like out in the open somewhere, and you saw the rink, you saw this huge parking lot. I said, okay, now I can see how you could fit, 5,000 people in there with all those parking spots. But I think too practical sometimes for my own good. And I don't know why. Todd B stops by. Hi, Todd. Some basketball games will allow you to autoplay through 3 quarters and then play the last quarter. Sort of an express game feature. Replay and hoops you can do that with. Yeah. A lot of the PC games will allow you to do that. I think it's called the zoom. So you can zoom ahead, to the next inning, the next period, the next quarter. I think one of the new ones now for Action PC. Ron's trying to convince me to get the Action PC baseball game, and I should. I should play more of the Action PC baseball. I got the hockey. The new hockey was kind of good. I got that on the Black Friday sale. But I guess the new one is that I can zip ahead to runs in scoring position, or runners in scoring position. So yeah, so that feature's kind of neat too. I think Ron did that with one of the football games he was playing, and it was like 30-0 or 30-7. So he skipped ahead till midway through the fourth quarter, and it wasn't any better. So he just simmed out the game. So it is good when you have that, so you can kind of zip through the game if you're having a lousy one. But if you're on the tabletop, that game of Hockey Blast I streamed the other day. I think it was like 5-0 Buffalo over Atlanta. I think that's the one I streamed. Although I played a game of Hockey Blast, it was 5-0, and I don't know if I streamed it or not. But it just, what can you do? It wasn't a close game, and nothing came down to the wire, and it was okay. It's over. By the time the game was winding down, I knew who won. There's nothing I could do about that. Although the one thing though, if you guys play Hockey Blast Express, this is one thing I was thinking about today, and I might post this on the Facebook group for play. Is I was playing the Summit Series, and it was 6-3, and it was in the last segment. And again, a segment cannot end on a goal; the segment has to continue. And so Canada's winning 6-3, and they won the quality check, so they took the shot on net. Now, it would have been in Canada's best interest to miss the shot, because if they missed the shot, the game's over because that segment ends on the first no goal result. Again, every time you score, you continue on. So for Canada, it would have been better off for them to miss. And for Russia, it would have been better off for them to score because the game would have continued. So if you follow this, it's say 6-3. If Canada scores, it's 7-3. But the game continues. So that gives Russia a chance to score. And if they score, the game continues. If they score again, the game, because that gives them a chance to score the 4 goals. And I might actually bring this up in a play group as like a homebrew rule. So Canada, leading by 2 goals, gets a scoring chance. If they decline a scoring chance, the game's over. Right? Now, I know that takes away from, okay, well, what if they scored with 5 minutes left? And now we still got to play the last 4 minutes, so that it's a chance for Russia to come back and score 4 goals. So I get that, but I mean, it's almost like taking a knee. Like when you're playing a football game, it's like, okay, well, we have the ball, we have the lead. Let's not do anything stupid. Let's just take the knee. Whereas, the game might force you to pass a run and cause that fumble. So I might bring that up in the group there. That's just one thing I was kind of thinking off the top of my head is that, it would have been better off for Canada to score for Russia to Canada score the goal because the game would continue and that would still allow a small chance for Russia to score those 4 goals that they would need. Whereas if Canada didn't score, then game's over. So I just thought about that. But that's another thing with like say with an express game or a quicker play game is that you're playing 5-minute segments instead of 30-second segments. So, if I had scored that goal in App or Hockey Bones and it's late, I know exactly what time that goal is scored. That's the other thing about, the quicker play games, the drive-by drive games even, you don't know exactly what time that was scored because you have an idea where it is. But if you want, like I say, sometimes with hockey, you want those accurate stats. You want to know exactly when that goal was scored and by who. And you get all that in a full play game. And that's what's really kind of fun with it. But anyway, so I just wanted to jump on tonight. And if I'll stay on for a couple more minutes in case anybody has any more comments on this. And then I'm going to sign off and go chill out myself. I don't know how the football game ended up, but Dallas was kicking the crap out of Philadelphia the last time I looked. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on express games? I know we've talked about it on the podcast. I know we've talked about it, on Facebook and different places. But what do you think? And so I guess if you want stats, it's express games and quick play games are not for you, and the final score games are not for you. Depending on what you want to do, like Marco says, he's getting enough stats and enough enjoyment out of second season express that it's going to allow him to do some bigger and better things. And the same with the hockey. And I would agree. But again, there's the sacrifice. When you play an express game or a quick play game or final score game, you are sacrificing a lot of detail and a lot of that buildup that happens during the game because, again, you're not seeing all the little things. You're just getting the cream of the crop of what happens. You see in the highlight reel, and so you don't get the buildup. You don't get to see how things play out. You just kind of get the highlights. So, interesting to see what you guys think about this. About this topic. And I know we've talked about it quite a bit, but I think it's one that's worth discussing, because of Play coming out with some express games and Al Wilson doing his thing as well. So what do you guys think of that? Is there enough meat on that bone to play some of these quicker play games, or do you want to play the full thing? And, and I guess different people in different situations, probably, some people don't have a lot of space, so they like the quick play games. Some people don't have a lot of time. Some people have a lot of kids or grandkids or what it is, and maybe they're working a lot or whatever it is. And so if they can bang out a quick play game or an express game and get their fix of their gaming in or have some fun, then that's what it's all about. Again, it's all for me. It's I like my options. And I've said this before a million times here on the channel, even on the podcast. I like options. Options are good. I like my basic play, my advanced play, my super whatever play. I like having options. I like when the game says you can play it many different ways. Here's the basic game. Here's some rules you can add on. I like that. And I also like the fact that I can play some games a little bit quicker. So I can enjoy your game, maybe not the full game, but I can enjoy enough of it in a express format or a quicker play format to get some details and some highlights and enjoy it. So for me, I like my options, and so for me, I'm glad that they're there, and I know that you don't get all the stats. And sometimes I do. I play the quicker play games, and I get done. It's like, man, I really wish I had full stats on this game. I really wish I could have seen everything play out because I got some really good results. So, anyway, yeah, let me know what you think about that. So I want to thank everybody that came by. And yes, I got my new hat on tonight, so I hope you like that. I'll have to replace my pennants back here. I put up all the hockey ones for Randy last night, so I'll have to go back to mixing things up. So, and Barbara came by too, celebrating that Rangers win tonight. Who did they play, Barbara? By the way, I think I saw it was 4-1 when I saw you post. I think you said it was a 4. Oh, they played the Kings tonight, right? They played the Kings. Yep, they did play I think it was the Kings. I have Kings fans from California on my Facebook feed, and they were posting how they were kind of bummed at how they were playing. But yep, thanks everybody that came by. And okay, it was the LA Kings. All right, cool. Thank you. I left a little hockey app on my phone because I can go in and get the scores right away. It's kind of neat. So anyway, yeah. So let me know what you think. Thanks, Scott, for coming by. What are your thoughts on Express games, quicker play games that just aren't the full play games? What do you think about them? Do you play them or not, and why? I just like to know. And there's no right or wrong answer. No, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. For some people, they work, and for some people, they don't. Some people, that's all they have time for, and some people have time for the bigger ones, and they play the bigger ones. And it depends on the project you're doing and the whole bit. So, all right, I'm gonna jump out of here. Dave, thanks for tuning in, folks, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.